Thanks, Brian. So yes, in addition to the tobacco investment cases, we more recently have developed a methodology to conduct an investment case for road traffic safety. We can go to the next slide, please. So accidents, the 8th of death globally and the #1 cause of death among youth aged 15 to 19, representing a lot of years of life lost, obviously, among those young people. Zambia, like I mentioned so far, is the only country where we've done a road traffic safety investment case, but it is a good place to start, as in the last 10 years, Zambia has experienced a 124% increase in registered motor vehicles, amounting to an annual average of 52,000 additional vehicles registered every year. About half of fatalities from road traffic accidents in Zambia are pedestrians, and Zambia has recognition of this burden from road traffic accidents has developed a non-motorized transport strategy, which was a great help to us in the development and prioritization of the interventions for this investment case. Over, let's see, from 2016 to 2020, the road traffic fatalities were on a downward trajectory, but beginning in 2021, they rose an alarming 28%. So highlighting the need for increased investment and safer roads. As the urban population and number of registered motor vehicle grows, it just becomes more and more important to improve the safety of the roadways. And so we hope this investment case helps incentivize additional investment in implementing the non-motorized transport strategy. In terms of the process, we worked with country colleagues to identify the interventions to be included. They do highlight or they do reflect the high burden among pedestrians, and of course the literature review to draw out costs and effectiveness of those different interventions. We completed the report, or the final results rather, in mid-2022, and the current status is that report is currently undergoing review by the government. So we can go on to the next slide, please. The methodology is pretty similar to the tobacco investment cases and the other investment cases we'll be talking about, but just to go over some of the parameters of the model, it does take a societal perspective. So we're looking at not just healthcare costs, but also mortality and productivity costs. It includes a 30-year time horizon, and a couple of the different parameters in terms of road. We're looking disaggregating results as between pedestrians, bicyclists, motorcyclists, occupants of motor vehicles, and other road users. The interventions that we're looking at are speed bumps, pedestrian and bicycle paths, pedestrian and bicycle crossings, post-crash pre-hospital care, and breath testing for alcohol. And like I mentioned earlier, these do reflect the high burden among pedestrians. Other types of interventions for safer roads, like enforcing seatbelt laws or vehicle safety requirements, really only improve the safety for occupants of motor vehicles. In Zambia, where the majority of the burden is among pedestrians and other vulnerable road users, we're looking at things that increase safety for those users, like designated crossings and sidewalks. In terms of the outcomes from road traffic injuries, we're looking at a few different categories ranging from minor injuries up to moderate, severe injuries, then permanent disability and mortality as well. We're value on the life lost from those fatalities, which is quite substantial given the high burden among young people in Zambia, as well as the value of those who experience permanent disability. Our absenteeism costs come from time spent in the hospital, and then presenteeism costs for just the severe and moderate injuries for people after they return to the workforce. So adding all those up is how we come to the total cost of road traffic accidents in Zambia. Not necessarily comprehensive. There are things we can think about, but given the data availability, this is what's included. So we can go ahead to the next slide, please. So over the next 30 years, by implementing that package of 5 interventions, we could look to prevent over 115,000 deaths, nearly 500,000 permanent disabilities, and 7.3 million injuries. That would come at a cost of 27.3 billion US dollars over those 30 years, which is an average annual cost of 0.91 billion US dollars. So that annual burden is the equivalent of 4.7% of Zambia's GDP, reflective of the high number of deaths, and especially the high number of deaths among those youth aged 15 to 29. Looking at the return on investment, you can see 4 of the 5 have very positive returns on investment. The post-crash pre-hospital care, not quite breaking even there at 0.6. And that's not necessarily surprising, given that the post-crash pre-hospital care is not doing anything to reduce the number or the severity of accidents. It's only improving the care for those who've already experienced accidents and preventing some of the fatalities. So not as wide-ranging impact as some of the others, which really prevent accidents from in the first place. But through implementation of all these 5 interventions, we can expect an annual savings of 0.42 billion US dollars on average per year. And this is at an 80% scale up from existing levels of implementation of these different interventions. So looking forward to getting this finalized, and happy to take any questions or comments you may have afterwards. With that, I will turn it over to our next presenter.